Hey, Eric.
Ahoy, John. How are you?
Ahoy. I think that would be more applicable if I was on a cruise.
Uh, Google says that AHOJ, pronounced ahoy, is hi or bye in Czechoslovakia.
Oh, I feel like you told me that. That did not stick in my memory. um, yes, I am far away,
Czechia, I
and
guess, is the right name now.
yeah, uh, so in Prague, and it is a very, very cool city. So we've been here for a couple days now. Um, neither of our checked bags have made it here so far.
Oh, no.
So, including, I did decide since I was checking a bag, and so I had lots of room, to bring my microphone, which of course is not here. So,
Which is why you sound like you're in a tunnel.
yeah, a little bit. So, um, I'm sure the bare walls in the hotel room don't help either, but anyway, I literally I woke up this morning because I talked with the KLM Airlines last night. I was like, "Hey, where's the bags?" They said they would be delivered either 2 days ago or yesterday, and neither has happened. And they basically one was on the airplane yesterday from Amsterdam to here. The other one, um, at least the online status says located, but that is the last thing that has been done. So it has been located, evidently. So, so that's kind of, I guess, my first story of this is, well, so I woke up this morning and I was like, let me check the status because if they delivered the one to the hotel room or to the hotel, reception, then I could go downstairs and I'd sort of roll the dice. Is it the one that is mine that has the microphone in it, or is it my wife's? And
Right.
but no such no joy.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
so we come off the airplane, we go down to the luggage, and they made me check a gate check carry on, and my carry on was literally like the only bag rolling around on the
Oh,
conveyor belt. So I was like, well, good, at least I've got my carry on because we had a couple
right.
things, a couple days worth of clothes in the carry on, and
Right.
and then everybody's standing around waiting, and there's a guy that comes by and he's like pushing a whole rack of suitcases on a cart and says, "That's it, no more." And so literally the entire airplane of luggage, right?
Uh,
Like no luggage went
didn't
onto
make
the
it?
airplane,
Oh,
evidently. So we were in line for an hour and a half at the baggage claim. That was the first welcome, welcome to the Czech Republic
oh,
or Prague, waiting in line to be told, to file the claim. And we have our gate claim tickets and blah blah blah. But
right.
so who knows? Who knows?
Well, I hope your bags show up
Oh,
today, my friend.
well, yes. I'm wearing my last pair of clean clothes today. So if they don't show up by the time we get home from our tour today, we're going on a expedition out of the city down to a medieval town. Um,
Okay.
medieval castle, I guess. Then we
Cool.
will have to find a laundromat or something. So
Mm.
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's been the welcome so far. And one of my something funs will be the something we did a tour of yesterday, which was amazing. Uh, so
I
anyway,
I hope you got tons of pictures. Uh,
oh
I'm looking for the John picture show when you get back.
oh okay. I have taken a bunch of pictures, but I don't know how interesting they are. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's clearly a very cool city.
Okay. Well, so what I just heard was note to self: just look at Wikipedia pictures for stuff.
I have a few. There's
All right.
um, some sort of a things. Um, so I was going to tell you one other thing, which was I mean I don't know. I'm halfway around the world. I think I had the best steak of my life last night. Like
Really.
seriously, and as you, I know where
And it
this is
wasn't just airline hangover, sleep deprived You're like, yeah,
No,
it was a very,
no.
very good steak.
You know,
Okay, okay.
we walked by this place, and I think the name of it was Meat Eater. I took a picture, and I have to like remember
Well,
where,
that's the picture I want to see right there.
but my wife's like, that looks like your kind of place, and I'm like, yeah, and um, so we come off of our tour yesterday, and it literally was. So we're walking over the Charles Bridge, which is sort of iconic, one of the things you really have to see. And it had been threatening thunderstorms, and we're in the middle of the bridge, and it started pouring rain. And I do not
Oof.
mean like raining a little bit, I mean dumping buckets and like seriously drenched in like 30 seconds. The
Oof.
whole bridge, I felt bad. Like all the people, like clearly there had been artists that had been set up for like, drawing caricatures and stuff like that on the bridge, and
Right,
they
right.
were all kind of rapidly trying to set up like as the thunderstorms were looming and like lightning was, or not lightning, I didn't see any lightning, but you could hear the thunder. And so we get to the other side of the bridge, got wet, totally wet, walked down a tunnel. uh, Literally, I bought an umbrella, right? I've done this in New York, I've done this in a couple places, buy one of those like cheap like umbrellas just so we have something. And then we were like, what are we going to do? Because this steak place didn't open for another hour. uh,
Uh,
and so we we were like, screw it, we're just gonna go. We'll come back at some point. Let's go get an Uber back to the hotel. And so called an Uber, and well, got to a place where I could call an Uber. We were not in a good spot, and they called an Uber. Didn't come for I don't know 10 or 15 minutes. It said it was 9 minutes away for 10 minutes, and then I mean it's now like I don't know. There was like 5:30. It opened at 6. So we were like, there's only a half an hour left, and it had stopped raining. We were like, well, maybe we just like hang. Now that we were on a bench, it was a wet bench, but we have an umbrella.
mhm.
Let's just wait half an hour and we'll go to this restaurant, which we wound up doing. And it started dumping buckets again. Like we literally just sort of hung out in a garage kind of or a parking lot under awning um, for 20 minutes. I canceled the Uber,
Mm.
waiting for the place to open. Because I was like, I think a steak sounds really good tonight. And so we walk in bedraggled, and in t-shirts, right, tourist clothes, and it was sort of a nice place to be honest. And they're like, "Do you have a reservation?" We're like, "No, what can you fit us in?" And she like hummed and hawed for a long time when looked at tables. She's like, okay, I think I put that. I was like, well, crap, whatever. Anyway, net. When we were paying the bill, I said to the guy, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best steak I think I've ever eaten. And he was like, anyway, it turned out it was the owner. And he was like, oh, it took me 10 years to figure out how to cook a steak like this, and I've won competitions. And according to, and he said something, I'm the 20th best in the world. Um, I'm like, okay.
Ah,
I was like, oh,
okay.
okay. So maybe there's some. He's like, yeah. And in next year, if you go to
Take that,
Dallas,
Texas.
yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. He said next year, go to Dallas. My second restaurant is gonna open in Dallas. And I was like, "What? You're gonna say go to Texas and say I know how to cook meat from the Czech Republic?" So, but I go to Dallas occasionally, so I that's one of the reasons why I might have to look them up. Seriously, it was ridiculously good.
Okay.
So, um,
Well, next
but
time we're in Dallas, we'll have to check it out.
yeah, 100%. Anyway, it was awesome. It was awesome. Weird
Cool.
to come halfway around the world and be like, okay, here we go. Um, but anyway, there's my
Uh,
story from last night. So,
all right.
how's
Well,
how's how's things back at the home front?
you are missing out on 100-degree heat up here, which, as you know, once it goes over 80, the world ends. Similar to how if it snows here, the world ends because no one knows how to deal with extreme heat. But
I
it has been
wouldn't
miserable.
exactly say I'm missing it.
Depends on the definition of missing, um, the context of missing. But yeah, no. So I spent most of my weekend indoors, and we've been prepping my oldest daughter to. We've ordered her some stuff for her apartment that she's going to be moving into here in a couple months. We're going to drive out not this weekend, but the next weekend to get a bunch of stuff moved in, get her set up. So it's mostly been a working indoors kind of week while the heat's on outside, and which of course means I
Stay in
end
the
up spending
AC.
too much time at work. So it's all good though. It's all good.
Gotta hold down the home front for me. I can be world
Yep.
gallivanter.
Yep. I am doing my best. I'll put it that way.
And so the tour guide yesterday was like
Mm-hmm.
talking down to the Vienna a whole lot because, or the Austrians in general,
Right.
evidently because the Czech people were underneath the Habsburg Empire for several hundred years, like 400 years or so. Well, I think it was 400 years amongst various people, right? Where they didn't have their own um, government. They were under various
Right.
uh, other regimes, including the Habsburgs, who ruled from Austria. So he was very like competition, evidently against Austria,
Not a fan,
a
huh?
little bit seemingly, and so we're like, well, that's where we'll be going next. Anyway,
Okay.
fun, fun,
Cool.
fun, fun. All right. Well, how about a topic then tonight?
All right. So the one I saw I thought was interesting because the FCC, we've talked about robocalls and scam phone calls, etc., and different types of smaller telcos that I don't want to say cater to, but rather maybe allow scammers to use their networks to do a bunch of
Hmm.
robocalls. Well, this is a Verawave telco that the FCC is preparing to block the phone company and wipe out or block the phone company entirely from having anyone carry that phone company's traffic. So
Wow.
the quote is Verawave Telco has not complied with FCC call blocking rules for providers suspected of carrying illegal traffic and now has 2 weeks to contest an order that would require all downstream voice providers to block all of the telco's call traffic. I
Wow.
I guess this makes sense, but I didn't know this was a thing where the FCC could basically say, "Hey, telco, you're not following the rules, and what I'm going to do is tell all your friends to, turn
Uh-huh.
their backs on you," which was interesting. Anyway, so this is from Ars Technica, and they were saying that nearly 16 million calls were sent. They went through this Verawave. Verawave's the originating provider that distributes the call traffic to other phone companies. And then those phone companies then deliver it to the landline or cell phone users. And an industry tradeback group, ITG, which runs the trade association and coordinates with the FCC, conducted a bunch of tracebacks on these scam calls and determined that Verawave was the originating provider, and that's how then they figured out, okay, this type of call is happening, and it goes back to this. ITG apparently notified Verawave that the calls and provided the company with here's our data proving that it's you, and Verawave didn't contest it. Um, that it was the
Interesting.
originator, but neither did it offer any evidence of consent for the calls or any contest of unlawful nature of the calls. Uh, Nor did they contest any exceptions to the rules that were applied. So the FCC reached out and said, "Hey, about your robocall mitigation efforts," or the FCC tried to reach out to Verawave about the robocall mitigation efforts, but the email was returned as
They got
undeliverable.
to bounce.
And
Okay.
they sent a formal notice, but the company received no response. So apparently on April 4th, the FCC notified all US based voice carriers that they were permitted but not required to block calls from Verawave. Because all this happened end of
Oh wait,
December,
wait.
early January when all
For
these
months
calls.
so this happened month. I mean, they're
So
permitted
the
to
phone
block
calls,
from the last several
yeah.
months, but they're not required to block until
And
2 weeks from
now,
now.
yeah, two
Two
weeks from
weeks from
now,
this
the
order.
FCC is going to require all other phone companies to block. So, under the FCC's blocking procedures, yesterday's order, so this is now July 9th, triggered a 14-day period which Verawave can respond and demonstrate compliance. After that, all phone companies immediately downstream, I'm reading quote now, immediately downstream from Verawave will then be required to block and cease accepting all traffic received directly from Verawave beginning 30 days after release of the final determination order. So the FCC already kind of said, because all this happened, these scam calls all happened end of December, early January. And the FCC then told US based carriers on April 4th, you are allowed to. We will allow, I don't know, I'm sure carriers downstream can't block on their own. They need, clearly, they need the FCC to say you're allowed to. Now it's moving from carriers are allowed to carriers are going to be required to. So there you go. I learned something new about how Robocall, the Robocall Underworld works, and what the FCC
Hey,
can do about it.
one other interesting comment, or in the article there, I just am glancing at it, so I haven't read the whole thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it says that FCC records show that Verawave, based in Delaware, testified under penalty of perjury in November of
Yeah.
23 that it completed implementation of the stir shaken technology that inhibits
Yep.
robocalls by authenticating caller ID information. Um, I feel
Guess
like
they
we've talked
didn't.
about stir shaken like long ago. Maybe I just
Yeah. Yeah.
had looked it
No.
up.
No. I know we did. I could probably
Um, but
hunt down the episode.
yeah, so that'll be interesting to see if there's any um, action taken, because assuming that these robocalls are also forging the the from
Yep.
numbers. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Well, go FCC. I wonder who are the customers of someone like Verawave? Like who are the legit customers that are up in arms and are going to be moving to somebody else? Is a question.
Doesn't say.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Cool. Nice topic. Uh, my my topic that I chose this week was our an article from Catalan, who I don't feel like we've mentioned for a while lately, but this is about the Department of Justice taking down a Twitter botnet operated by, um, I think RT is Russia Today, right? The Russian news
Uh huh.
organization RT used to spread Kremlin propaganda on a large scale across Europe and the US. So I think that the reason this caught my eye was because of some of the tooling that was clearly available there. But so it says that they're uh, and it doesn't say that RT built. It says that they used a tool, an AI tool named Meliorator, to build and control the botnet's behavior, and there were at least 968 accounts in what they're using. It says the botnet consisted of at least 968 accounts and was operated by an editor in chief of from RT's Moscow headquarters. You're using the word botnet there. That does not make is not the normal definition of the word botnet. Um, so um,
Yeah.
I don't quite understand the use of the word botnet there, but 968 different accounts at least. But Meliorator basically has two components: a front end called Brigadier and a back end
Mm-hmm.
called Terrace. But this is what was interesting. So here's the quote from the FBI report. Brigadier serves as the primary end-user interface of Meliorator and functions as the administrator panel. Brigadier serves as the graphical user interface for the Terrace application and includes tabs for souls, or false identities that would create the basis for the bots, and thoughts, which are the automated scenarios or actions that could be implemented on behalf of the bots, such as sharing content to social media in the future. I'm just kind of, it'd be interesting to see a little bit more about how are they making the actors in this, or the souls. I thought that was an interesting use of that word. Kind of appear more human by not spamming all at the same time. Do they what are the different ways in which they sort of pretend, on each of the given souls to be a legit human. I thought that quote really was why I was like, oh, that's really interesting how they're probably doing that. I can imagine a number of different things in that realm. But
sure.
It says that obviously the botnet was used to create fake online personas, register Twitter accounts, bypass Twitter verifications using onboard email server. So got a bunch of MX logic there. Sorry, not MX logic, all one word. MX space logic. Sorry, MX Logic used to be a company that. Anyway, that capture and respond to automatically, and all sorts of stuff you could do in there. Anyway, so bypass Twitter verifications, automated two-factor authentication via email. What happens when you use I guess you could probably automate other ones too, but that's a pretty weak form of identification.
Right.
And configure campaigns on certain topics. And it says that the bots were configured to take the identities of local citizens, but would post obviously Russian propaganda and disinformation. And they used RT and its ilk, they say, good word, used Meliorator to spread propaganda targeting audiences in the US, Poland, Germany, and the Netherlands, Spain, Ukraine, and Israel. The narratives often would come from a private intelligence organization controlled by a Russia FSB officer that was established with the approval and financial support of the presidential administration of Russia. So very interesting. So much activity and work around spreading misinformation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it works.
No, like anytime somebody shows something, I'm like, so is that real? Because I forget, there was something that my wife showed me the other day where I was like, but is it legit? I mean, because you could probably create that image. There was an image associated with it. They could probably create that image with one sentence in Midjourney. So
right.
Where's the corroborating evidence that the image might be legit?
Right.
Anyway,
welcome to our new world.
You can't tell with your eyes all the time.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Well, welcome to our new world. So,
all right.
So there you go. That was my topic.
Nice. All right. So my something fun.
Okay.
Is 100% self. What's the right word?
Referential.
Self-congratulatory. Yeah, self-congratulatory. So I was just excited about this. I know you're out, and so I figured we'd have a short episode. Anyways, just no need to keep you busy while you're on vacation. But my HashCheck app, I looked up on the podcast. When did we start? I started that in January of 2021 on episode 164 is when I kind of talked about it. And yesterday I got the nicest thing happened to that app. I mean, it's been on the App Store for, since 2021. Um, and in my head, I'm like, I now have reached the pinnacle of, free software development. I have impressed some nice person from Germany. So I got a comment,
You got a
and you
five-star
can,
review.
I got a 5-star review. Thank you from Dr. Jume. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's only in Germany. It's only if you go to the App Store, you won't see it unless you go to the Germany App Store. And it says, finally, a simple and effective app for hash checking and quick hash comparing. Like, well, I figure if
That's
you can
exactly
impress
what somebody who knows what the app's actually for.
exactly, it was a very nice, it made my day yesterday as
That's awesome.
I was having a little bit of a rough day, and there's like three, four and a half. It's 5-star review on the US App Store from people a year ago. Like I haven't touched it in over a year. So it was just nice to have that pop up on my phone saying, hey, new review left. And I
Somebody
looked
gave
at it, I'm
you a
like,
five-star review.
ah, somebody gave me a 5-star review. Thank you.
Well, that's very
That
awesome.
was fun. So there's my something fun, self congratulatory, pat myself on the back. But HashCheck is still a thing. It's in the App Store, runs on a Mac. I should probably compile it for the new M1
I'll be
Max.
honest. I actually thought you removed that from the App Store a couple of years ago because
I did for a little while because the first release had a bunch of. There was a bug, and it caused it to hang, and it got some nasty reviews initially. And I pulled it, and then I went and figured out what the bug was. I'm like, oh, that's stupid. So I fixed it and then posted it again.
I see. I see. I see.
So, anyways, there is my something fun. Pat myself on the back.
Very, very, very well done. That's awesome. All right. All right. My something fun, like I said, is something that we toured yesterday. We went to a bit of a tour of Prague Castle. Uh, and if you
I'm just
look
looking at the
at,
pictures. This is amazing.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So,
huge.
well, it is, according to the Guinness Book of Records, Prague Castle is the largest ancient castle in the world, occupying an area of almost 70,000 square meters at about 570 meters in length and an average of 130 meters wide. So it's pretty big, pretty big, pretty big. And uh, the the first portion of the castle was built in 870 AD. So what was that? 1400 years ago.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Wow,
And
wow, wow.
it's the first walled building was the Church of the Virgin Mary, and then the Basilica of St. George and the Basilica of St. Vitus were founded under the reign of uh, Ratislas I, Duke of Bohemia, in the first half of the 10th century, so nine something. And the
Hmm.
Basilica of St. George we were in yesterday, so it's still standing. I don't think the Church of the Virgin Mary, the first walled building they said, it was still standing. So, like, obviously, a bunch of stuff has happened over the course. I feel a little bad though because, like, when I was looking up, you look up from the river up to there, you see the grand spires of the cathedral, and the cathedral
Right.
is in the palace, but is not the palace. I was thinking that was the
Mm.
palace. No, no, that's the cathedral, because there is a gigantic, beautiful cathedral called the St. Vitus Cathedral. But even though it was started in the 14th century, I think, um, the yeah, let's see, did it say? Yeah, so in the 14th century, under the reign of Charles IV, the royal palace was rebuilt in Gothic style,
Mm.
and in place of the rotunda and basilica of St. Vitus, they began the building of a vast Gothic church, which was huge. But then the trick of that is that the rest of the cathedral wasn't finished until September of 1929. So literally
Oh.
600 years later. And in the late 19th century, in 1870 or something like that, basically, when they first had their independence from the Habsburg, the Austrian Empire, they the Czech people like basically did a fundraising and said we should have our own national theater, national library, national museum, and they had a they had a commission that raised funds to finish the cathedral, and they finished the cathedral in the early 20th century. Um,
Wow.
and so, and you could totally see. I mean, it was done in the Gothic style. Like then they said that bricks done as they would have been done, hundreds of years before,
Right.
and it does not look incongruous, but you can tell from just sort of the weathered aging the different, that clearly the back half is, you know, much less weathered than the front half. And there's some decor that is a little interesting in that there are some of the statuary are wearing suits instead of what would have been worn in the in the 14th or 15th century. So
Right.
so anyway, so it was pretty funny that you're like, the tour guide was very very friendly and very I don't know, very uh, what's a good word for that? I don't know, genial. But he was joking, like, what do you see weird, as we're at I guess it's the back of the cathedral, but the entrance to the cathedral. Um, and he's like, and then he pointed out the statues. He was like, they're wearing suits, and you could see they're wearing suits. Like,
Right.
yeah, wouldn't have been there in there. I mean, but the gargoyles and everything else all look the same, obviously. But anyway, it was awesome. But there's a um, you know hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of history of the castle, of kings coming and reigning from Prague, or
Right.
even there was a queen, Marie Theresa, I think, of the Habsburgs, that was here for a couple of years. And anyway, it's amazing, amazing history. Very, very cool stuff. So there you go, Prague Castle. Go read the Wikipedia page. There's lots of stuff in there.
Or you could do what I am doing and go to Google Maps. While you've been talking, Google Maps has the whole inside mapped, and then you've got all the tourist pictures who uploaded their stuff Anyways, Google Maps has some pretty cool stuff to look at too.
Oh,
So,
really?
anyways, super cool.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right, John.
pretty fantastic, huh?
Yeah. Well, I will let you get back to your vacation.
Okay,
Have a great day.
sounds good.
All
Thanks,
right.
Eric. I
Yep.
will talk to you later.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.